Hello there. We are back with our chat. This is our third chat. And each time we talk about the word pioneers, mainly because we have written this book called The Marriage Pioneers. And there's a whole lot more going on right now that all of us are in a pioneer frame of mind because we're in a place that we've never been. The virus, and then this current thing of the emphasis on racism due to George Floyd's death and murder, and so we both need to be conquered, both the coronavirus and the problem with racism. We need to have more equality in our lives as we
all know. As Mama B and Papa B, which is how this is being broadcast,
right.
We want to talk about pioneers of relationship and some things that we learned from our mentors, David and Vera Mace, that have made doing relationships much different from the homes we both grew up in.
Well, part of that is this is something we can do. Everybody can build relationships. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to see happen throughout our country and out throughout the world is better equality relationships.
But that was sort of what David and Vera did. They got married in England in 1938.
In the midst of chaos, just before World War II.
And the end of the economic depression.
Oh, yeah.
Is so important. It gets capital letters, Great Depression.
Nobody was thinking about marriage and quality of marriage. They were thinking about existence. They were trying to find a way to work and do simple things. But the Maces were concentrating on, in the midst of all this, the way to do it is to have healthy families. And healthy families start with the couple.
And that's still true today.
Yes.
In fact, we're very struck with the similarity of the times when the Maces said we need better, stronger families.
Right.
To survive during these very difficult times economically. And they gave practical ideas about how to do it. And to start in the midst of chaos, rather like we're experiencing now, was all the more important. And at the heart of it was the family for them. And at the heart of the family was the couple and still is the couple. So we'd like to talk with you today about some things that we have learned from the Maces.
And still learning, by the way.
Wrote in our book. It's interviews with the Maces that we did a week with them.
By the way, that's available on Amazon. So
right. But here's some of the things that struck us and that we have been trying to practice. One of the things they started early was what they called moving from the traditional marriage to the modern marriage. Now, in 1938, that modern probably meant something much different than it does today. But what they were trying to say was that each couple has to work out what for them is equality, is just, brings about a good relationship and thus a strong family.
Right.
And that each couple isn't just stuck with what they had in growing up, but they are able to choose and work toward what's right for them.
Yes, one of the ways that I learned this, or I'm learning it, is that they put the emphasis on growth, both individual growth and couple growth.
Mm-hmm.
And that was major shift in my mind. I think what we got married on was the more traditional kind of marriage.
We did.
And
tried to do it.
We tried to do it, but it didn't work for us because Bobby's a thinking person and has deep feelings. And if it doesn't jive with where she is, then it didn't work in our relationship. So we needed to look at something different.
And the something different was, one of the main things for me was that I had an option. I could choose to be different from my mother and the other women I saw in my family and around me and growing up.
You didn't have to do what they did in the same way they did it.
I had an option. Yes. And recently I heard an image that stuck with me, and it's that I was trying to be a thermometer and just measure our temperature and our moods and what was right and what was wrong, and just register what was going on.
Keep it calm and keep it safe, comfortable, and keep the heat down.
But I had the right and the power, I guess I could say, if I chose it, to be a thermostat. And I could actually affect the temperature between us, the mood between us, what was going on between us.
You have.
And
throughout our marriage, you've done that.
I did, but I did it covertly.
Yes.
And I think what I chose that the Maces helped me do was, for me, a real pioneer step. And that was to realize that I had an option to say what I wanted. And every couple has that option. And when you listen to each other and you mutually begin to make some choices that lead to growth and warmth and happiness and something equitable for both of you, it's amazing how that thermostat can create a better place for the whole family.
But you know what? You've got to have a safe place to state what you want. You have to be, in my opinion, we need to serve as a team, as a co-leader team, not I'm in charge or you're in charge. We're in charge, the us. Mm-hmm. The discovery of us, for me, has been exciting.
Well, that's been exciting for me too, because for there to be an us, there has to be a me and there has to be a you.
In other words, we have to be present.
Right. And if we are exercising our individual choices as a me and a you that is respectful to the other person, yes, and is acknowledging what the other person thinks and dreams, right, and hopes and fears,
right,
it moves to a totally different level of relationship.
That is so true. One of the things that has been exciting for us was to be invited to go to different countries. And we spent 2 months in Australia, speaking all over the country. And then we spent over a month in Taiwan and had a great time there. And while there, we spoke day, afternoon, and night. We really, our schedule was very full, but we thoroughly enjoyed it. And one of the things we kept emphasizing there was the Mandarin word called ting, T-I-N-G.
It means to listen in English, but we learned that it was much more involved in Mandarin. Mandarin is an old language, and it started out as picture writing.
Yes. So and here is the way Mandarin looks in the picture writing. That each of those symbols says something about the word. So that's the word ting.
To listen.
But it also includes in its pictures that we are to listen. So the ear is part of the symbol. So we are to listen with our ears to try to understand what the other person is saying. We're supposed to also listen with our eyes. And that symbol is also there.
Well, I think the eye is important.
Yes.
For one thing, looking at each other when you talk to each other.
Yes. Yes.
not multitasking and saying, and you didn't hear a thing that the other person
You still don't
said.
know whether they heard it or
Yes,
not.
to really listen with your eyes is one part of it. Another part is if you're looking at the person when you talk, you pick up a lot of nonverbal things that just words don't give you. You've got facial expressions, you've got a wink, I'm just kidding. You've got a frown that says something's not right here.
Right. But when we want to share our feelings, we look at each other, and so we're eye to eye, and we call it knee to knee. But the third thing in the symbol is that we listen with our heart, and that's pretty glossy, I think. But we listen with our heart. So when we think of listen, if we could, the English way of saying it is listen, but if we listen with our ears, with our eyes, and with our heart, we are really trying to understand the person who is speaking. And in our world today, in the midst of what is going on, we need to listen that way. We need to listen to each other. Everybody needs to be a listener and try to learn what's going on inside that other person. So I think that's been a very important thing.
Well, it has. Another thing that the Maces helped us learn about moving to a marriage that is right for each couple who's trying to take seriously building a quality relationship and keeping it and maintaining it throughout all the changes that come to everybody, is how important it is to honestly state your feelings to the other person. This we found when we were first married was something very challenging for us. We married in the 1950s, and all of this was brand new.
Most of these programs that people have for marriage didn't happen till in the mid-60s and 70s. So we had to struggle without any of those helps.
So we didn't have any models for finding our own feelings and sharing them with somebody. And you had to be really mad or really happy or really sad before the feeling was strong enough to identify and to articulate. But the fact that you share with some trusted and important person to you is good for the me in growth, and it's good for the listening you to learn where you are. And then that builds the us, because you got something really deep and really important between you that got shared. This was hard for me to do, but as a woman, I really grew. As a me, I really grew when I chose the option to say what I felt to you.
Yes, and I grew up in a home that and no one asked me what I felt. So I never told them. And so when we married, for different reasons, Bobby and I didn't know how to share feelings. So we started practicing it, and we did a daily thing, our daily sharing time. This is before we have what we do now, a daily couple time. But this was a daily sharing time, and the emphasis was to share 3 feelings, whatever's going on with us at the time. And we, in essence, trained ourselves to enlarge our feeling vocabulary and share with each other. And that's been so beneficial.
And neither one of us could really do it when we started. We just simply didn't know what to say.
So we wrote it down. We just got a little sheet of paper and wrote down I feel, and then write 3 feelings down.
And now that seems like kindergarten to just write down 3 feelings, but it just shows that we had a little equipment, little training, little modeling about how to even identify what we were feeling.
Exactly.
Once we got the practice and learned how to do it, we don't have to write it anymore. We just tell each other.
But we're really here to share with you and to let you know that we're working on our relationship in the midst of all of this that's going on. And we hope you are too. We encourage you to let us know in some way that this has been helpful, or what would be even more helpful to you. We'll be doing these chats for several weeks now, and we want you involved in it. So pass it on to others. We don't know where this goes, but we're enjoying doing it, and it's been a pleasure today being with you.
Yes, and we wish you all to discover a stronger me, a stronger you, and especially for the benefit of families in our country, a stronger us. The relationship that is between the two of you that you don't have with anybody else.
So remember the word ting.
That's right.
And listen in that way.
And remember, Mama B and Papa B wish you and all families well.
Bye. Next week.